My name is Dylan Hess. I'm originally from Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, so only 2 hours from Gainesville. I went to Ponte Vedra High School. It's a public school in Ponte Vedra. Played 4 sports there: basketball, lacrosse, soccer, and football. And then lacrosse took me to the collegiate level where I played at Georgetown University. Played all 4 years there. Loved every bit of it. And then now I'm here at the University of Florida for grad school. Gosh, I mean, that was I forget the year, it was so long ago, but I want to say it was when I was around 9 or 10 years old. Kind of talked about this at nausea since I've been here, but I had a special relation to number 8, Jamie Chapin, who played here as well, where number 8 was a Gators lacrosse captain, and his aunt lived right down the street from me, and she was my godmother. And so through him, I kind of learned lacrosse, was introduced to the game just because he brought it to Ponte Vedra. And so because of his contribution, lacrosse was a thing in Ponte Vedra. And of course, I had other neighbors who played lacrosse around me. So just through those relations, I was able to kind of pick up a stick, along with a little persuasion from my parents as well. I think they promised me an Xbox 360 if I started playing. So a little bit of bribery, but there was also some natural persuasion there as well, which caused me to play. So it was my junior year of high school, and I had just reopened my recruiting, and I had a very set list of schools that I wanted. I had very fine requirements of what I was looking for. So the only schools I wanted, there were only like 5 schools that I wanted to go to. And I kind of pulled Georgetown out of nowhere. I had no prior relation to them. They had never really recruited me before. I was kind of the one who initiated. I think they were surprised when I told them that I wanted to look around there. I had a good fall recruiting cycle that year, and I think by the time I contacted Georgetown and the time I committed, it was only a month. And I committed on my birthday, which is pretty cool. But it was a combination of the coach, love Coach Warren there, the academics, obviously, the balance between the athletics and the academics, and then it was the fact that they hadn't done anything before. And I don't mean that in an offense, but you see all these other programs and they've won national championships. They're very established, and Georgetown had a great run in the 90s, but since then, the program was still very up and coming. And when I committed, they only had won 2 Big East championships in the past 20-something years. So they were a team that was starting to get hot, and that's something that I was really attracted to because it was a team trending in the right direction. It's something that I wanted to be part of the team that went in there and made a difference and truly did something special and put Georgetown on the map. Yeah, I mean, it was certainly different because my freshman year was the year after COVID. I was going into college fresh off of a canceled senior year. For the most part, I didn't really want to go. I was addicted to home. I had a routine at home, which was pretty much just playing Xbox for 12 hours straight. But during the fall, my freshman year, we were actually home. We were not on campus. We were not practicing. We were taking online classes wherever we were from. And that was me just back in Ponte Vedra taking online classes every week. And then it was November or December when the university told us, hey, I will let you back on campus and you're going to have a season. So that was kind of like a oh crap moment where now I have to prepare for a college lacrosse season. I think that was honestly a blessing because of how quick a turnaround it was. You didn't really have a chance to think about it. It was a month later, we were moved in, we started practicing, and then we started playing. There was no off season. I think that actually helped me a lot kind of assimilate into the college landscape just because we were thrown into the fire and it's, you better catch up quickly or you're going to get burnt. So, but I loved it immediately. My freshman year, all I knew was playing lacrosse. And that's all it was. It was still very limited because of COVID. So it was, for the most part, you wake up, you take online classes, you go to practice, you go to the dining hall, and then you're back in your dorm. And that was every day, 7 days a week. I didn't know what college was like, so I loved it. I was like, you're telling me I can take online classes and just play lacrosse all the time? That's great. So I had a good time my freshman year. Of course, now I have hindsight bias, so knowing the college experience now, freshman year probably could have been better, but yeah, I can't complain. Yeah, so I think my situation is pretty unique because as I was a two-way midi coming out of high school, so I was playing offense and defense, and that's a pretty tough thing to do at the college level. You know, nowadays you're either one or the other, and that's pretty much all you can do. So I came into college with that mindset when I wanted to play both. I had a pretty decent freshman year. I was able to play both. And sophomore year, it kind of dropped off a little bit, and I wasn't seeing the same success. I wasn't seeing the same playing time. I think my coaches were seeing it as well. I had to have a sit down with them and discuss kind of what they expected out of me, what I expected from them in return. And that was probably one of the most beneficial conversations I've ever had regarding my athletic career. And that's when they pretty much sat me down. They were like, "You're only going to play defense. We think that's where we need you. That's where you can excel, and we're going to tell you exactly what we need from you, and we expect you to go out and do it." And that was at the end of the fall, my junior year. And from that point on, I just had a clear picture in my head of what was expected of me, what was needed. From that point on, that was, I think, what shaped my career. I don't think I would have had the same success if it weren't for that conversation. And that was all predicated on the relationship that I had with my coaches. You know, it was the fact that they could sit me down and just be completely honest with me and say, you know, this may not be what you want, but this is what we need. We think this is the best thing for you. And I think that just was all facilitated from day one, you know, Coach Warren just being, you know, the guy he is, being upfront and a straight shooter. So there was no problem with that at all. It would probably be the road trips. I think that's a classic answer with anybody you ask. You're just traveling. It's just you and the team, and it's just lacrosse. It's you're there for one goal. You're there with one group, and you're just enjoying the time being with guys who you pretty much spend every hour of every day with, even outside of practice. You take the same classes as a lot of these guys, and I think that's the same for any college you go to. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can't you can't really pinpoint a specific instance. I think if I were to pinpoint one, it would be my freshman year, when we won the Big East championship. That was a year just full of who knows what. It was a lot of adversity that we had to go through. We weren't favored to win. We were kind of the underdogs in that tournament. We had some tough games. Just everything that went into that season, for that to amount to a conference championship with that group, that was unbelievable. That was an unbelievable experience. And it wasn't at Georgetown, it was away. It was at Providence. So we were there for 5 or 6 days. So it was just all of us packed in a hotel. We had to take our finals in the hotel. So it was an interesting experience. And so that really helped that moment be special because of, you know, the win as well. Yeah, so my senior year at Georgetown, I didn't know really what the future had in store for me. I didn't really consider playing professionally as a possibility. I really only came to that realization maybe quarter halfway through my senior spring, through that season. My coach started contacting me about professional coaches asking if I was going to play or not. And so that's when it kind of became this whole thing where I asked myself, it's like, should I do this? Can I do this? Like, what does that look like for the rest of my life? And then as I started kind of formulating an answer, I thought to myself, like, yeah, I do want to do this. You know, I love this sport. I love everything about it. And I'm not going to be able to play it forever. My whole mindset is I'm going to play for as long as I can, because I can work for as long as I live, but I can't, you know, these bones get old, these muscles get old. Like, with where I stand, I want to be able to run around and throw a ball around for as long as I can. What better way to do that at the highest level possible? And that just wasn't the case freshman, sophomore, junior year of college. I just expected to graduate, get a full-time job and work, and maybe go to men's league on Sundays and do some of that. But yeah, when I started getting those interests, then it became a real possibility for me. And then I you know, I took that and I ran away with it, and that's something that I want to do. Enjoying the game is number one. It's paramount to everything else. I try not to take myself too seriously. I try not to take this game too seriously, because when you do, you just lose the love for the game. As long as you put, your enjoyment first, I think everything else works its way out. Obviously, towards the end of my time at Georgetown, I had already committed to coming here for grad school. As far as my draft prospects, they were pretty much unknown because I was taking this extra year. So I don't know what that meant in terms of me getting drafted or not. So when the draft came around, I was watching it. I was interested just to see, how my teammates were doing. Like, I had a couple teammates get drafted. But as far as myself goes, I had no idea what was going to happen. When I was selected, I wasn't even home. I was getting a sandwich at a local deli when it all happened. And then my phone started blowing up telling me, congrats, like, congrats on getting drafted and whatnot. To be a surprise kind of made it a little bit more special. And that was pretty exciting because it's not often you get drafted to a professional sports league. So my sister did undergrad here, and she's about 2 years older than me. So ever since high school, we've also been a Gator family as well. Me living 2 hours away, I've always paid attention to the Gators. I've been a football fan for the past 6 or something years. It was easy for me to choose Florida as a place to go to. After my freshman year of college, it just wasn't a regular year. I also wanted that kind of other side of the whole college experience where you could be a normal student, could have time on your hands actually, and you weren't imposed by a 7-hour practice block and have to fit classes around that. And yeah, I mean, what better place than a huge state school that, is a very established institution. Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is probably the pressure. At Georgetown, I played full-on defense my last 2 years of being there. And then obviously coming here, I'm doing a little bit of everything, but mostly you see me on offense. And I think just having the ball in your stick more is a lot more pressure. On defense, you can kind of get away with blending into the whole possession and having those other guys around you. But when you're on offense and you have that ball, everybody's looking at you. If you don't score or if you lose the ball, everybody's gonna look at you as the guy where whose fault it was. I'm not accustomed to having the ball in my stick. I haven't had the ball since my sophomore year of college at Georgetown. But I'd say, the guys around me, they make it a lot easier. Meeting these guys in the fall and then playing with them through the whole off season, now in season, it's made my job a lot easier, and it's, kind of taken the pressure off of me in some regards. So it's a little bit weirder just because last draft, I had this, gap year. It wasn't like I was talking with coaches, really had to present myself as a draftable prospect. But now that this is kind of more immediate and more recent, I'm talking to these coaches and these are like job interviews. So I really have to present myself as this guy who's committed to the game, committed to the team, and is ready to go at a moment's notice. And that just wasn't the case last year, but it's been exciting. So I've had to do some new things in regards to how I advertise myself to these coaches, but it's been cool. Just a guy who's all in. The whole point of me kind of living at home for this next year and who knows how long after that is because I don't want to have to decide. I don't want to have to decide between a full-time job, balancing that, and then have to skip some weekends. No, like I said, I want to play this game for as long as I can, and the best time to do it is right now while I'm young. While I'm young, I think this game and whatever team drafts me is going to get, 100% my focus, my effort, and my commitment. So I think the best way I can describe it is just to have a presence, just for people to, I guess, just remember something that I did, something that I said, just remember that I was there and that, they truly felt a difference in whatever situation because I was there, whether it was on the field or off the field, whether it was a tough time, it was, let's look to Dylan. Let's look to Dylan to solve this, to handle this, for whatever, for comedic relief, for something, right? That's all I can ask for.